We say amazing things at funerals, and we do amazing things at funerals, but sometimes we don't do it in advance. And I think that that's something that's pretty powerful, and I love the concept.
I can't even put into words how grateful I am for everything that she did.
You know, every day is not a guarantee.
Just giving people their flowers while they're still here, I think that is great.
She knows her worth and her value, and she doesn't let anybody walk over that in any kind of way.
I have behaved myself, I have done everything I'm supposed to, and it's still not enough.
That's a way that I did help change the world for good.
Right now, you are the person that you thought you wanted to be in your obituary. Like, you're already that woman. Hello, this is Virginia of Virginia and Beth from Welcome to Your Funeral podcast. We are back in action after a small/longish break. You know you missed us, and today we have a wonderful woman who is adorable and fun, and it is her year of yes, and I hope you enjoy hearing about Sheena Northfield. Quick content warning. This episode does discuss weight and weight loss. So if those are not things that you wish to hear about or talk about, this would be an episode for you to skip. Other than that, enjoy Sheena. She's pretty great. This is Welcome to Your Funeral podcast. I'm Virginia Silky with my co-host,
Beth Savage,
and our special guest,
Sheena
Yay!
Northfield.
Welcome, Sheena. If we were, yes. We essentially, this is the obituary part.
Mm-hmm.
And so what will happen is, I know you took some notes. It was maybe intense, maybe it wasn't, maybe you've thought about all these things before, but we'll just kind of talk about how it went, how you feel. And then after we kind of wrap this part up, then we'll talk to your peoples, and we'll have you back with like little, I don't know, airplane bottles of liquor, because
as long as it's Fireball, I'm down like a clown.
Let's do
it.
All right, let's do it.
We'll get a handle of Fireball.
Sounds good to me.
Let's do it. Yeah, so we tend to like the funeral part when we throw that is like the celebration drinky. Like we'll get some snacks, and I know that Claire has prepped me on things you enjoy, and things you like. And so we will do that and hang out, and that usually gets a little rowdier than this part.
It can get that way. Yeah,
it doesn't have to, but
No,
it can be. We have done, we've done Mormon folks, so there was no. We're less funny. No,
there was zero alcohol in that one, but, and then we had somebody sit with us for 8 hours, and we
drank
enjoyed those
maybe
8 hours.
a lot of wine and a lot of champagne, and
It
then
was
switched to
wonderful.
beer back over.
Yeah.
Like it was quite the day.
All right.
And we'll cut all that out too. So, do you want to?
You don't have to.
I mean, for our sake, so.
Okay.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about? So you maybe knew a little bit coming in what this was going to be, so it didn't like blindside you with your
just a little. I knew a little bit.
Okay.
A very little bit.
Yeah.
But that's it.
So how did it feel? Like, what did you think of the assignment? Which I know sounds weird because we're professors.
We're not your professor.
No.
Yeah.
So I hate talking about myself. Like, hate it. I don't like to point out anything that's good. I'm always quick to point something out that's bad. I hate looking at myself in the mirror. So when it came to that part, I'm like, really? I hate it doing that. I'm so quick to point stuff out that other people have done well. But for me, I'm just like, everybody should do that. Like, I don't think it's anything special. I don't think I'm anything special, Like,
I do.
You have come to the right place, my friend.
Because we think you're very special.
Yes. Oh wow, that's a lot of honesty and introspection already.
Mm-hmm.
So, right? I mean, like if you realize it's true, then you know that you probably should dig into it and say, why am I so much kinder to everyone else?
It's an issue.
Right?
It's an issue.
Yeah.
And I tell some of my friends, I'm like, would you talk to me that way? Like, would you talk to me that way? And they're like, no. I'm like, then why are you talking to yourself that way? And I'm like, can you just take 5 minutes and take your own advice and not talk to yourself any other way than you would talk to your family or your friends? But that's hard.
Beth and I tell each other that all the time. And like I said before, sometimes, and it might not be recorded, but we often are like, yes, this was for you. And like, but no, like we try to motion things and we were like, ooh, that's uncomfortable. Let's never do that again. Like,
Mhm.
let's just make other people talk about
That's right.
things.
That's
Right,
right.
right.
It is so difficult. Yeah.
Self-reflection is, especially when you've criticized yourself your whole life, right?
My
And
whole
Yes.
life.
Yeah.
Yes.
and like
Yep.
growing, did you grow up being criticized as well by other folks or
Hmm. Yep. And my nanny is like, she is my heart and soul. Of course, my mom is too. But my nanny, on one hand, she would say, you're never going to find a husband if you don't lose weight. But then in the next breath, she would say, do you want some more of my French fries? Like taking me to McDonald's and buying me the Big Mac at 5 years old. And you know what I mean?
oh, I
So
do know what you mean. My
it,
mother was a food is love.
hmm yep. So it was, I had that internal battle my whole adult life. And then, you internalize that stuff. So
Absolutely.
you internalize it
100%.
Yeah.
And,
Especially when it's from someone that you love so much.
and you
that know
cherish.
loves you.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
and they're, you know that they think they're coming from a place of kindness or like, oh, I really want you to find a lifelong partner, but also like I'm great as I'm okay as I am, and I
Right.
don't actually have to lose the weight, or I don't have to do that unless that's my choice, or like that's a
Right.
thing I can do, right?
And I didn't. I met Mike. I met Mike at one of my heaviest moments. And, him and I were best friends for 2 years before we started dating. And we started dating in October. That December we got engaged, and it'll be 15 years in September.
Wow.
So it's, Nanny, I mean, she knew, she met him. She did not like Mike at the beginning.
Why?
Because she thought I was settling, because Mike is 5'2". Well,
Me
we
too.
say it's 5 foot shoe, whatever shoe he's wearing. And I'm 6 foot. So she just thought that I was settling, and I wasn't, but
He
that,
wasn't tall.
because he wasn't tall. He didn't fit. So my list was 6'5", cowboy. Like, I needed a pickup truck and boots. And if you know my husband at all, he is not that. Like, I got him in a pair of cowboy boots when we were married for 4 years. That's the first time he'd ever been in a pair of boots. So,
you never know.
but like, he is my best friend, and he saw and still sees the best in me. And
because he loved you,
he loved me.
regardless of
Exactly.
anything, right?
Exactly.
And that's love.
Yeah. And I always say, he got me at my worst. And now he gets me at my best, like, health wise.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
so, but you were probably still pretty great then, right? Or
Right.
for you, has that, I mean, emotional, like your person didn't change, just your physical shape.
I'm stronger now as a person, and not physically, but like mentally and emotionally. I'm stronger now than I was when we met. And that just came with a lot of heartache, a lot of junk. And, he was right with me through all of it, but I'm stronger now than I was then. So even if I didn't lose the weight, he still would have gotten me at my best now, because I'm a different person than I was then.
And that's great. And that probably, I mean, could or could not be attributed to weight stuff, right? That could just be attributed to life stuff. A lot of what we talk about is how sometimes we praise people for weight loss or something. But for me, it was, I was dying, right? And I was really, really sick. And everyone's like, oh, you look great. And I'd go to the doctor and they'd say, oh, look at you. You look so great without any weight on you. And I was like, I'm dying.
Right.
Like, and I have a really severe eating disorder. So this is not going well for me. And now that my body's kind of starting to go back to its normal shape, I'm back at the doctor's office and they're like, oh, and I'm like, no, like, I was dying. I'm not dying.
Right.
I'm still a good person.
Right. I think society, I don't know how it affected me, was society puts too much emphasis on that number on the scale. And how much you weigh or how much you've lost or whatever. I mean, I knew if I didn't lose, the weight, I was going to die.
Right. So for you, it
So for me,
was
I
life
had to do it.
changing.
I
Mhm.
had to do it.
Yeah.
And but I still don't look. I had this whole image in my head right when I went in with this gastric bypass thing that I was going to be tall, thin, and long blonde hair.
Have
And
you ever had long blonde
I
hair?
have.
Okay.
Oh.
I was like,
Yes.
or did you really?
Nope, nope. I have had it. And, I did the gastric bypass in August. That next February, I had to have a hysterectomy. And my hair started falling out by the handfuls. And when I had the gastric bypass, my hair was like down past my shoulder blades. And then I'm like, it's getting a little thin. So it went up a little bit more. And then after my hysterectomy, I'm like, my hair does not look healthy. So I just had to go and chop it right on off.
Mhm.
And now we're in the growing out stage. We're
Me
letting
too.
it grow. We're letting it
Yeah.
grow.
Mhm.
But I still don't have that because society has poured into me of
Mhm.
what you're
Supposed to look
what
like.
you're supposed to look like. And I'm still battling with that, still
It's
struggling with it.
hard.
That's honesty. I mean, that's
I
how do you
watch-
unlearn an entire life of those kinds
Yeah.
of messages?
It's hard.
Yeah, it's
And I tell college, I mean, we teach
Mm.
college, I didn't actually, but like
Yeah.
we teach college students, and I'm always like, I wish that you guys, and again, right, every adult says this, like, I wish you could be where I am with my body self love now.
Mhm.
Like, when you can have fun and you don't have to worry. Like, you
Yeah.
can just enjoy your life and not be focused on all those things all the time.
Right.
And I still, I mean, I still do it, but I'm so much better now. Like, I can dye my hair and be like, okay,
Yeah.
like,
Right.
so I'm 48 years old and I look like a peacock.
Mhm.
What are you gonna do
A
about it?
beautiful peacock.
Thank you. I know
There
that.
it is. There it is.
But
That's
like,
great.
I
Yeah.
just like the older you get and the less you care, it's such a freeing
It's
feeling.
liberating.
But at the same time, now that I look in the mirror again, I'm like, oh well, this is coming back and this is coming back and is this,
It's
and I'm
automatic.
like,
Yeah.
oh man, like I thought I had kind of gotten over that.
Mhm.
But
One
Yeah.
of the most, I'll just kind of say what I think, and sometimes I don't realize how it's going to affect other people. I never try to be harmful, but one of the few things I think I've said in a classroom that I wish I could take back was in an intro to gender studies class. And I was trying to get them to think about how preoccupied we all are with these superficial things. And I said, think about how many things your mothers could have done if they didn't spend so much of their time trying to look different, trying to appear different to someone else, trying to, fit in with someone else's
eat the
standards.
bran muffin.
And it was like the air had been sucked out of the room. Like I had hit this spot for all of them that was like, oof. Because they were kind of playing over in their heads how much time their
Right.
parents had spent with their mother specifically, with that struggle that doesn't have to be a struggle.
Right. And I don't think I see where you might want to take that back,
Mhm.
but who knows what effect you had on one person in that class that maybe you have broken a generational curse that they had never really heard the truth before. So I feel like that we say things for a reason,
Mhm. That's you finding the good in other people. Here she goes.
I know she did the thing. She already said she was going to do it, and
I
then she
told
did it.
you. I
Okay.
told you.
So let me ask a question, then we can rewind back to your nanny.
Okay.
Is that right? And your wedding.
Yep.
So when you heard her judge your soon-to-be husband by
Mhm.
external expectations,
Mhm.
did that change the way you thought about the way she had kind of instilled those things in you? Like, did you think, wait, she does this for everybody? It's not just that I'm
Yeah.
not lovable at a certain,
Well, I
size.
never put that
Okay,
together.
okay.
I never put that together
Mhm.
because I was just like, you're crazy. Like, like I was like, Nanny, he's like my brother, because like we would go out to movies and stuff, and I never really said, hey, I've got feelings, until I tried to hook him up with my roommate, and then she was interested, and I'm like, oh heck no, back up, like,
Just kidding. I take that all back.
just
right?
kidding, just kidding. He still has not forgiven me for that,
Aw.
but
Was that you also trying to be nice to other people and be like, this guy's really great, you should go out with him?
Well, and
that's
that's well, no, not really. That was kind of me being a little manipulative because, and I'll tell you why. Because I wanted him close, but I didn't want him at the time.
Mm.
So like I wanted to keep him close to me.
Right,
So I'm like, ooh, he can date my roommate and he'll be here all the time and like we can hang out. But then I didn't really want a relationship until I realized that she was interested, and I'm like, that's not gonna happen. That's not okay for me. That's
And
not
so they
okay for
didn't
me.
date.
That's
They
cool.
did not.
So he already knew he wanted to date you at that point then.
I think so.
Okay,
I mean,
he just
he'll-
hadn't expressed it.
yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. And then when I had that conversation with her, like, hey, I think I have feelings for Mike, she was like, yeah, he doesn't look at me the way he looks at you. And I'm like,
I know.
He's mine. He's mine.
Take that, nanny.
That's right.
And again, I know that you've named your
Yeah.
store after her. I know she was
Yeah.
again meant a lot to you.
Oh,
But
yeah.
sometimes the people that mean the most to us really
Yeah.
do.
She had an effect on me, that's for sure. And I mean, I love her, still love her. And, you know, she adored Mike. I mean, that whole she didn't like him lasted 5 minutes. I mean, when she got to know him, and I mean, he's a lovable dude. Like,
Well,
you know,
like we judge, like we're so
Yeah.
quick to judge, like
Mhm.
like what makes a man. We were talking about this today. Like what makes a man a man,
right.
and height isn't one of those
No,
things.
not at all.
Like,
Not at all.
Yeah.
And it,
Yeah.
but we, men, I've got to be 6'5", and I've got to do
Have
this
a
and that,
pickup
and
truck,
like,
you know.
and some boots and all those things. But
But you don't need a ladder to climb up. Into.
That's right. That's right.
One of those
If
very
I don't
tall
have to take a run and start, it doesn't count.
and life just surprises us.
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely.
It sure enough
Has other
does.
plans. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us some more. So you have this kind of this is something we're gonna have to keep working on, right? With Sheena here.
Yes,
The sort of like I can't say nice things about
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
hard.
gonna- It's a work in progress,
It's so
y'all.
hard.
It's a work in progress.
You know, when your nanny was passing down
Mm-hmm.
Some
stuff that she
generational
struggled
stuff.
with,
And
maybe without naming. But,
right.
yeah.
And I am quick to call my mom out on it too, because she'll look
Yeah.
in the mirror and she goes, "Oh gosh," da, da, da." I'm like, "Well, would you talk about me that way?"
Mhm.
And she said, "No." I'm like, "Well, then don't talk about you that way, because you're talking about my mama,
That's
you
right,
know."
absolutely.
And she's
And other
like,
people.
right. And she was just like, "Oh, okay." But like, I'm sitting here, I can pick myself apart all day long. And
Yes.
I can
Yep.
too. I have a 10-year-old, and so again, I actually modeled my parenting after Beth's parenting with her children, because I got pregnant really late in life. And when she runs up to me and grabs your stomach, right? Not yours, mine. And is all, and then she's just like, "Oh, it's just so smooshy and cozy," and I'm like, and my instinct is to like repel away from that and
Right.
just be like, "Oh my God, please don't touch me. It's gross." But I'm always like, "Yep, that's where you lived, and that's great."
yeah.
But for me, it took many years, and now it comes more naturally. But it took me so many, like, why do your boobs sag to the ground? I'm like, gravity and you, like those are the
Mine, like,
reasons.
why do they look like empty IB bags when I bend over?
Yeah,
I'm like,
pretty much. That's where-
162 pounds gone. Something's gonna
Things are
happen.
gonna look
Right.
different.
They're gonna look different.
And she never says it in a mean,
That's
judgy
right.
way. It's just, I'm her mom, and
Right.
like I try to be as comfortable as I can with my body.
Right.
But some, like when she said, like some of the, like they are not.
They observe the
kind.
world. They learn through observing the
Right.
world.
And they're
she-
not careful with their words. They don't know what impact words have at
Yep.
that age. I don't
There was a
think.
whole one-woman play about my saggy boobs that occurred one night. Like I was just like, this is like it was all nice, but I was like, Harper, like, could we?
Can we not?
Act 2? Can we get to Act 2? Because Act 1 is really not doing it for me.
Right.
Is anything just right for Act 2?
But she doesn't mean it. But it
Of
is.
course
It's
not,
so
yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Especially when you've got people looking at you. And again, we have students looking at us every day, judging what you're wearing, how you're talking, all of those things. And at some point, you just want to be like, oh, I don't care. And then there's that little voice inside that's like, well, I care a little bit.
But you don't want them to think that.
Right.
Okay.
So back to the obituary.
Back to the obituary.
Yeah.
So, were there any questions there or things that we asked you to think about that were surprising or that were difficult? So you talked about the mirror, like, please get away from me.
I even wrote it. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, I hate this part.
Okay.
I even wrote it
I
down.
said you didn't have to do it all.
I was like, no, I'm
You're a good
embracing
sport.
it. I'm
Okay,
gonna
okay.
embrace it, because I think this is like, I'm getting into that next stage of, this whole journey, and I think this is good.
You're ready. You're ready for it.
I think this is good. So we'll see.
The hard stuff, hopefully.
Right.
At some point.
So what did you say about like? Are you willing to share what you said in your mirror thing? Like,
Oh yeah.
If you're not comfortable, you don't have to.
No, that's
Okay.
fine. So when I originally looked in the mirror, I saw my lines around my lips, and then I saw my lines in my forehead, and then I saw like the discoloration in my skin and how my cheeks are all rosy, and I always hate that. And then they said, well, what is, you said, well, who is the real you? I'm like, well, those lines came from me laughing. Like, so I'm someone who loves to laugh. And then I looked at like the other lines in my forehead and I was like, I'm someone who has endured a lot of pain. And then I also looked at my rosy cheeks, and I'm not sure why this came to mind, but I'm someone who loves hard. So when I love you, like I love you, there's no denying it. So I try to turn those things
You
that I
did.
hated to
I'm so proud
see.
of you. That's really impressive. The first part made me really sad,
Yeah.
but the second part
Yeah.
was really
Yeah.
sweet.
I love that, and I want you to keep talking about you. But when you said the thing about your skin and your cheeks, I just looked at Virginia because when you walked in, I was like, she's so glowy. Like you have. I think your skin is beautiful. It's one of the first things I noticed about you. It's called what? No, I don't mean that. I don't. That's glistening. That's different from glowing. Glowing is like
From
your
the
skin is like,
inside
yeah, your skin is vibrant, and you're like have light in your eyes, and you look like a fun and happy person.
well,
So that's what I noticed, like with your cheeks,
Yeah.
your rosy cheeks too.
I never have to wear blush, that's for sure. Like when I'm doing makeup, I can skip right over that part. So
That's a lot of money saved.
that's
for a
right.
lifetime.
That's
Yeah.
right. Have you seen the cost of blush? It's insane.
I stopped caring
Yeah.
a while
Oh my
ago. Like if
gosh.
it even like I thought I was gonna grab like a red lipstick from Kroger the other day.
They're like
And it was like
45 shades
Well, there's
of
45
red.
shades, and it was like $15. I was like,
Right.
what happened to like
What's up, Kroger?
grocery?
lipstick?
Like, yeah, like what happened to Kroger
Right.
being like, here's your $2?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to find your Wet n Wild and just
That's
lean
right.
in.
That's right.
Lean into
That's
it.
right.
Because that's all fancy now. You know,
It
you can buy
really
the cheap
is.
stuff and it'll be
Yeah.
fancy, but yeah. Okay, so who is the true you is one of the things you really pushed yourself on.
Mhm.
Do you think that you believe those things?
Yes, actually, I
okay.
think I do because I do love to laugh.
Mhm.
And I'm married to Mike, so it's a good thing that I like to laugh because he keeps me in stitches. And then the pain part, like 100%
Yeah.
believe that.
Yeah.
And then I know I love hard, so and I've been burned because I love so hard.
Right.
But yeah, I believe that.
Good.
I love
Good.
that you
Yeah.
believe it because a lot of times we're like, oh, I said that because I wanted to counteract it because I'm supposed to, but I don't
Right.
believe that.
Mm,
And
Fake
so
it
the
till I
fact
make
that you
it,
believe
yeah.
it, like you're halfway, you're already there.
This is so much cheaper than therapy.
That's because we're not qualified.
I'm a psychologist, just not that kind.
Right.
It still counts.
But it's a matter of day-to-day practice, right? And it's so easy to fall into those ruts. And this is like a do as I say, not as I do situation, as we said earlier. But it's so easy to fall in those ruts that we've inherited of immediately seeing and feeling something negative instead of being like, I came out the other side of all that, and like seeing that as evidence of it.
Yeah,
And
for
it's
sure.
about, I mean, there are times that I walk into a room, I'm like, I didn't realize there was a mirror there because I'm so used to avoiding mirrors. And I'm just like, oh, like when I was pregnant and I was teaching here, I would go to the bathroom because I pee all the time. And one time I was on my way to class, I was like, I should have looked in the mirror to see if I had anything in my teeth or something. And then I was like, I literally was just in a bathroom in front of the mirror and did not look in it. And that's when I realized I avoided mirrors. I wasn't doing it consciously. It was a practice. That was my practice.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm out of that rut, but anyway. Anything else about what you wrote about that you thought was useful or not useful? We'll take that feedback.
I don't know. What do you want to know? I mean, I can.
Okay, so who did you like? A lot of people like to tell us who they think will miss them the most.
Oh, that was easy. My mom.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom, and she tells me that a lot. I mean, a lot, and I mean, I'm sure that Mike would miss me, but I think my mom she would not do well if I went before her. Like she wouldn't do well.
Yeah, my mother's currently dealing with that because my brother, the golden child, passed this summer, and so it was her firstborn son, and like all of that, and so that was
anyway. So does your mom live close?
Yeah,
you all
she lives.
Get to spend time together.
Well, that's one thing that I have written in here. So yes, she does live close. She lived in Appomattox, and then after it has been a wild ride since 2017. But my dad passed away in 2017. Then my nanny passed in 2020, and then after she passed, she sold the place in Appomattox and moved to Forest, in like a little townhome. And we wanted her up here so she'd be close to us, and we hardly ever get to see each other. So there was one thing that I wrote in here, and it was at the end about one thing that I wanted to change or do something different was be intentional with the time that I spend with my mom and who I spend my time with. Like, just be intentional with it. So that's one thing I want to
Time
fix.
is so precious.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yes, I have a small, again, it's not about me, but it is. My 10-year-old has a very severe fear of time passage. And so we're working on that with her, but she highlights it for me a lot in the ways that, all of a sudden she'll be like, oh my God, I can't get that time back. Like, she's very much like, I wasted that time by not spending it with you and Daddy. Like, I was on the computer playing a game and I shouldn't have been doing that. And you're like, no, you absolutely should have been playing your games. Like,
yeah.
But as we get older, it's like, wait, time is, you never know, which is part of why we started this podcast. Because I never got to tell my brother any of those things because I was the baby and didn't think he was really going to pass. Like, somehow he was going to be the only person in the world that survived stage 4 lung cancer.
It's been in your life. And just like,
and if
your mom's been here for your whole life. Like, it's,
if anyone was going to do it, it was going to be him, and I didn't have to worry about it. And then it was like, oh, okay. Now it's too late.
Yeah.
Well, we hope your mom listens to this podcast.
Me too. Listen.
We're talking about you, Mama. Sheena will check you if you talk bad about yourself. She wants to spend more time with you and checking you.
That's right.
Yeah, fair.
And so, what did you think people would say about you?
Okay, I forgot what part that was in.
It was kind of the very first, like, to get you settled in. It's kind of like, what would other people say about you after you pass before you actually have to think about what you would want them to say?
I think they would say that I was kind, thoughtful, loyal, talented, smart, giving, and funny.
That's an awesome list.
That's amazing.
Hopefully.
That's all the best things.
Those are all the great things. And I'm gonna pull a Beth, but do you believe all those things are true about yourself?
I believe some of them.
Which are the ones you struggle with?
Smart. And I'll tell you why. Because I've always felt like I was the dumb blonde. Like, very I've always been that. I've always played that role. And like, no matter if I was in school, in a class, like, I always was like the ditzy one. And I feel like I carried that with me. So I'm not sure if, I feel like I'm smart, but
was that just the role you played because people expected you?
I think
to
so.
Play it?
They just expected me to play that role. So I did.
Starting your own business and doing all those things, could a ditzy person do those things?
I've seen a couple of ditzy people do it, but and they haven't been successful.
Right, but not as well as you have, right?
That's right.
But yeah, you got a point.
Right?
It's true.
Yeah. I think sometimes we have, I've done it too, but like, people expected that, right? And so you kind of played that role, and now you're like, wait a minute, I'm brilliant. Like, I'm smart. I have this business idea. I'm good at these things, and people notice and people care about that.
Yeah, for sure. I think all the other ones, talented, I struggle with some.
Why? Successful business maker lady.
I think it's because I feel like that anyone could do it. Like, anyone could do it,
I cannot do
I
it.
hear what you're saying, though. Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
If something, even if you work hard at it, if it becomes natural to you, you feel like it must be natural.
Yeah, like, other people should be able to. Like, just being kind to someone. I feel like everybody can be kind.
Everyone has the capacity,
but I
know.
But they are.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's like with this sort of ditzy performance and all that kind of stuff. It goes back to that same conversation about your nanny, which is like, how do you unlearn these things?
How do you
Because, like,
unlearn them?
how do you stop yourself in every moment and think, is that someone else's perception or need for me, or is that myself?
Right.
Because at some point you don't know. This is dark, but you don't know like what society gave you and what your true self is, because you spent so, an entire lifetime, right, just
Right.
doing what other people expect of you, and no one has time or the will to stop
Right.
and think, who actually am I? Because it's hard
Mm-hmm.
and that's scary that you don't know that, but also like, oh my gosh, what time have I wasted
Right.
fulfilling these? It's really terrifying, like,
Yeah.
heart stopping. And that's why I think we get to this midlife crisis point,
I'm
the
there.
so-called midlife crisis.
I'm there, and I'm like, I need to get tatted up.
Yeah.
Like, I started my
I'll go with you.
sleeve.
Yes.
Like,
I
I
love
mean,
you already started
yeah.
it? Can we see it? That's so beautiful.
So it's gonna have hydrangeas around it, and
Mhm.
it's gonna look like my bridal bouquet.
Oh,
And then I'm
That's
gonna have
lovely.
different things, like, and then I'm gonna have Dylan and Chris have their thumbprints in a heart, like in the middle of a flower, and it's gonna be different things. But I'm only gonna go to halfway. I'm not gonna do a full sleeve. So I'm only gonna.
You're addictive, right?
See,
I've got them everywhere.
Well,
I
Oh, really?
love
my
tattoos.
my whole back is tattooed, but it's on my back because my mother would always tell me that tattoos were part of the lowest common denominator of society. That was her
Add that
favorite
to your
phrase.
list. Lowest common
I
denominator.
got them everywhere.
I mean, between that and ranch dressing, those are her two
Do you like ranch dressing?
I
Sheena?
love
Oh
ranch
my
dressing.
God, you're
So,
off the team.
Yeah, I love both tattoos and ranch dressing,
Yeah.
but she was always it was always a thing for her
Mhm.
because in her family, like the sailors, and
Mm.
I already swear like one, and now I've got these
Mhm.
tattoos. And when she saw them, she only saw the one on my back once when I was throwing up out of the car because I had a kidney infection, and she just said, "Is that a tattoo?" And I said, "No." And then we just kind of went on with our lives for a couple years.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, it's almost a full back, but it was because she so much was like, good people don't have
Mhm.
tattoos. And it was
Yeah.
like, but I'm a good person and I love tattoos.
I love them. I
every
love
day.
them. Like,
They're
I've got
beautiful.
them. I've
Yeah,
got them.
and I love them.
Like, and it's my self-expression.
That's right.
And like every single one has a meaning
Yep,
to
like me
me,
too.
like every single one.
Mhm.
And my most favorite is my one on my pinky, and it's my highest weight in Roman numeral,
Mhm.
because it's a pinky promise to myself I'll never go back.
Oh,
So it's like,
That's
for me,
lovely.
it's a
That's
promise
right.
for me. And I mean, I love them. And, when I dropped the bomb that I was starting my sleeve to my mother, to my mama, she was not happy, but
Mm.
it was, she understood. It was like what I wanted. And it wasn't like I was just going and saying, I want that one,
Right, yeah.
and even if I did, I wanted my arm to be prettier than everybody else's.
Yeah.
So even if I
Heck
did go, I
yeah.
want that
Like
one.
the
Then
anchor
That's
and
right.
the-
That's totally your choice. And that's
Yeah.
anyone who listens to us, more than once, which I hope is everyone who listens to us, has heard us say this a million times, like ever since episode 1, where we had this realization that for most of us, it's not a crisis, it's an awakening.
Mhm.
And
it's,
so
it's a crisis for other
it's
people.
a crisis for other people because suddenly you stop acting the way they want you to act. And so, thank you. I'm like, people are going to get tired of it, but to
But
me,
it's so
it's
true.
like mind blowing.
Yeah.
To me, it's mind blowing to think like,
You've stepped into your own.
yes.
And
Like-
I'm not in crisis. You are,
That's
because I'm
right.
not fulfilling
Right.
the things that I used to do for you because out of obligation or out of whatever.
That's right.
And so you're in crisis because you
Right.
don't have that part of me anymore.
And you're an adult, you should deal with your own crisis. I'm going to go over here and have an awakening.
See ya, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go drink my Fireball and get a tattoo.
That's
So
right.
now-
I really feel like we're going to have a follow up to this where we're all in tattoo cheers next to each other.
And
I'm a-okay with that.
Right. With water bottles.
Yeah,
I was a
yeah.
little sad when I went downtown and ate at Robin. It's not
Oh,
called
and
Robin
James
out
River
there.
closed.
And he
Oh,
he
really?
was the
I
one
didn't
who
know.
did all of my tattoos,
Mm.
like the ones that I really care, like the one I had to get covered up, was not from him, but
Yeah.
he made it meaningful and beautiful to me. And when I just didn't know, and I think I knew he retired a long time ago, but I didn't know
No,
the shop was gone.
closed, yeah.
And for some reason it gutted me when I
Yeah.
looked across the street and I was like, but and then I was like, oh gosh, I could never get another tattoo. And then I was like, okay, that's dumb. But I'll get another tattoo.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it was definitely a solemn moment of,
Yeah.
I can't believe it's gone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
who do you get to do yours?
Well, my son. My
Really?
oldest son learned how to do tattoos while he was in prison.
You don't have to say it like
Yeah,
that.
No,
Like, we
he
all
that's
get,
did.
really
like,
special
Yeah.
to have that.
And he did this one. He did this, and he did. Hold on. He did this one. He did my shoulder. It was one other one that he did. I can't remember. I can't remember.
very,
I've got
very
so many.
important. Very sentimental.
When you were talking about that, I was going to say, like, the bond between a tattoo artist and a person is so
Mhm.
intimate, but to have it be your own
Mhm.
son,
Yeah,
that's
it
amazing.
was amazing. So Mike is very much like he didn't mind if I got tattoos, but it wasn't for him. Now he has 2, and he's working on his 3rd, and I'm super stoked. But the one that he got over his chest, Chris did, and Chris was born in Texas, and Dylan was born in Virginia. So he did an outline of Texas and an outline of Virginia inside of Texas. So it's like his 2 boys over his heart, and Chris did it. I mean, it was just like
Yeah,
it was
like,
amazing.
I'm not a crier,
I'm
but
like,
I'm
stop
just
it.
like, I'm going to need you to stop
It's
talking.
too
Yeah.
early for
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Too
And
early and not
really
enough
like-
alcohol.
right.
Oh,
And with Chris, like he struggled for a really long time to find his niche. Like he was always very talented artist, and but getting in with the wrong group and making bad decisions, and but now he's just this. I mean, he's always been amazing, but like he's just so talented and successful, and
Does he live in the area?
he lives in Danville.
Okay, and is he working at a tattoo studio?
He's apprenticing.
That's
Mhm.
amazing.
So we're gonna get him up to the house to do like a little tattoo party.
Yes.
And if it's like smaller than your hand, it's $50. And then we'll have food and have people just come in, and
That's
We
such a
meet
great
the coolest
idea.
people.
I know.
Like, we really do meet the coolest people. That's
I mean,
amazing.
I'm addicted. Like
Yeah.
I could probably sit in a chair every week and be okay.
Right.
I might not be able to do that, but
I'm not good with pain. That's I'm afraid.
He'll put numbing cream on you.
Oh yeah.
hmm He put numbing cream on this, but then started here. And then got up here, and the numbing cream was gone. I'm like, bro, like you should have started up here.
I
Like
thought
there's
that we had talked about.
I'm like, we should have started here because this is bone, like nothing
Right,
but. And then when he got up here, I was sitting in the chair and I was going. He goes, "You all right?" I'm like, just keep going. I'm in my happy place.
I'm a sweater,
So funny.
and
Yeah,
so
I
when
would
I was
sweat,
getting
yeah.
like, I mean, he was just like, what? He was trying not to say anything. He was just like, oh, maybe we need to take a break, and he would change the page. Just sweating through it. I'm like, no, it's not the tattoo. I'm literally just a sweaty lady.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's good. He's really, really good. So
That's amazing.
And again, and I don't think you need to be quiet or ashamed about where he went or how he learned to do it. Like,
Yeah.
I think we need to normalize more that people have lives, and sometimes life really goes wrong.
And it went really, really wrong. And I have my opinions about it. Like he shouldn't have been there.
Right. I mean,
and but I mean, how smart do you have to be to figure out how to do tattoos in prison when you have nothing?
Yeah.
Like how, I mean, he sat there, and the first time that I saw him, he went in and he had maybe like 3. And when I went to visit him, he was like covered from neck all the way down. And I'm like, bro, like what is that? He goes, I'm bored. Like he was just bored. And the ones on his leg, like he did himself. And there's one of a woman that is like her silhouette, and it's like her back and her hair coming down. Like it looks like real hair. Like it is beautiful.
So he honed his craft.
Like
he took that time he had out of society.
Exactly.
To
To focus.
That is going to probably serve him for the rest of his life.
For the rest of his life. And I'm just so excited. I'm so excited for his potential for him. And he's got a great girlfriend. I'm going to be a grandmother.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, we are not
gosh.
calling me grandmother. We are Nani. I'm too cool to be.
Yes,
I'm too young
clearly.
for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything is just so good for him right now, and I'm just very excited for
And I
him.
know
That's
that
amazing.
you wanted a baby in your life for a while.
For a long, long
And
time.
so this is like a magical, different route.
Exactly. And I didn't have to birth it. Like, and I get to send it home.
Yep, all those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Some of the questions talk a little bit about maybe what you wish you had done or what you kind of regret not doing. or maybe they don't. I
Maybe
feel
I
like they
missed
do,
that.
but no, it's okay.
No.
It
Well,
does
there
not
was
matter.
one that was like, what are there more things you should have said no to?
Oh, that's the one I'm thinking
Like,
about.
Oh,
yeah.
more things that I should have said no to.
To leave room for who you wanted or needed to be, like in
Well,
retrospect.
I answered that a little differently because
Okay.
I might have misunderstood.
No,
But
that's
No,
fine.
there's literally no right or wrong.
Okay.
Like everyone's
It's
always
for
like,
you.
"Oh, I didn't do
It's
it
for
right."
you.
'Cause
okay.
our last guest, Emily, was a former student of ours, and she was like, "I looked up how to write an obituary," and we were like, "Emily, it's not an assignment. It was," and she's like, "I just didn't want to disappoint you." I was like, "This is so not a grade." And like,
Right.
had you ever in your 4 years of life here at University of Lynchburg College, when she was there, have you ever disappointed us? And have we ever told you that you were disappointing in any way, shape, or form? She's like, absolutely not. We were like, so what's
Not gonna
different
start now.
now?
That's
Like,
right.
but she like looked. She's like, I just wanted to do it perfect, and maybe I didn't do this right. I was like, there is no right.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you take that one?
So, well, I'll answer it the way it should have been, and then I'll tell you what I did.
No,
Okay.
tell us the way you
Okay.
did.
Tell us what you
So, hold on, I gotta find it. Well, the thing that I should have said no to more were toxic relationships and not allowing those people to stay as long as they did. So Mike and I had some friends, and we had stopped kind of like hanging out for a while, and then we started hanging out again. And then the second time around, it was very, very, very toxic. It was toxic before, but I didn't see it. And the second time around, Mike and I started to fight and argue a lot. And we don't. Like, we have never had a big blow up fight until last year. And we had to remove that toxic relationship out of our life because I don't think Mike and I would still be together if we didn't. Just because they poured all their toxic mess that they dealt with in their relationship into mine, and it wasn't okay. And then Mike and I like looked at each other and we're like, we haven't had an argument, we haven't fought. Like, what's different? Like, I'm like, do we really need to say what's different?
Can we just
I
look
mean,
at each
can we
other,
just like
or do we have to speak?
I mean, I'm pretty sure we know,
Right.
like the one thing. And what sucks about that whole thing is that I loved their kids, and I love children, and I connect with children more than I do, you know. And now I don't have that relationship anymore with those three, and it breaks my heart. But I can't think about that. I can't
No,
keep
you've gotta
thinking about
protect
that
yourself
because
and your relationship.
I have to protect my unit.
Absolutely.
So it
And-
had to be finished,
Yeah.
which is fine. Like, it really is fine, because looking at it, like, I didn't make the best decisions either. I put them and my mom, and I mean, I put them and her mom and his parents and their kids above my family. And I'm like, well, I need to go spend time with, well, I got to hurry up here so I can get over here. And then after I realized, I set my mom down and apologized to her, because like, I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know, I realize what's going down now, and I just need you to forgive me for not putting you as priority. And she was like, I didn't even think about it like that. And I'm like, but it ate at me. Like, it ate. And I'm pretty sure she thought about it, but she wasn't going to tell me.
Especially when you were apologizing.
Right.
Like, I never noticed.
Right. Like, what?
No way.
No way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I had to apologize to her, and I'm not great at that. So, but I needed her to know that I knew what I did, and that it wasn't going to happen again with anybody. So,
And I bet that probably meant an awful lot to her, especially if you're a person who is not great at like speaking the apology, because I am very good at just being like, that never happened.
Yeah.
So.
I don't like to say, because I love so hard and I love people, and there's one thing I put in here, that I see myself as a safe space, and I have created that environment in my home. So because I love people and I'm that safe space, when I hurt someone, it breaks me. So, and that's why I have a hard time apologizing, because I don't like to admit when I've hurt somebody.
Yeah, I don't think any of us do. And I've had a
Mm-mm.
struggle this year that I keep bringing up to Beth. I have a student this semester who is trans, and somehow, like, I keep misgendering this person, and I am not somebody who misgenders people ever or intentionally. And it does, like, I'll spend all night, like, messaging, like, and you, in a similar situation, I don't think it was the same person.
It wasn't the same person.
I was gonna say, if it was, goddamn, we're really
No,
bad.
no, different person, same horrible feelings.
Right.
about
And
having
like,
done
I
it,
will just sit at night and be like, oh my God, I
just going over
like,
and over.
over and like, what if I did this, or what if I did this differently? And so the first time I did it, I wrote, like, we were in class, right? And you can't just stop class and be like, sorry, like, because that just
Let's
brings
call more
That
attention.
brings
more
more
attention
attention.
to it. And so I wrote like a little post-it note, like, I am, you know, like, genuinely sorry. This will not happen again. And God bless it if it didn't happen just yesterday. And that particular individual was always like, oh, it's okay. And I'm like, no, that's the thing. It's not okay.
Right.
And you deserve a sincere apology, and like, tell me that it's not okay, because clearly something isn't clicking in my brain. And and so hopefully I will never do that to him again. But like, just sit there and go, what if I could, if only I had done this or that. And I don't want to apologize because I want to be right. But I was super wrong, and I don't want to apologize to a kid, like, but you do. And
But I think that humanizes the professor for them. Because when I was in college and I had my professors, right, they were I'm just like, oh, they were like this,
None of my students.
I mean, like they were untouchable, or they were just like some like machine, right? And I think just apologizing humanizes you.
It allows them to, I mean, in other contexts as well. Like, obviously not, you don't want to do this to someone, but I think it allows them to take risks too, and not be afraid to be wrong. When we admit that we're wrong, or that we've done something wrong. So yeah, but that's not the kind of wrong you want to. You want to model kind of or showcase, for sure.
I would love to be wrong about like a fact and have them
right,
correct
and
me,
be
like a submarine in the Civil War, perhaps.
Right, we didn't know that existed.
Did you know there were submarines in the Civil War?
I've told you I'm not very smart.
No,
we learned that.
We learned that in the podcast,
and I'm married to a historian.
And so I was trying to play it off and be like, "We'll Google that shit later." And Beth's like, "Wait, what?" And she's like, "Am I the only one?" And I was like, "No, you're not the only one." But I didn't want to look dumb.
We weren't going to tell the people. Yeah.
And she went home to her husband, who's a historian. Was like, "Was there really a submarine?" He's like, "There was one."
He was like, "There was like one, and it sunk immediately." And I was like, "Okay, I don't feel so bad." But I'm like,
they did not do a very good job.
Like, it was too early for submarines.
That's right. See,
but I was like, oh, I felt so stupid. How could you not tell me that? It's like it wasn't a big historical moment. Of course, it was because of the first one. But
yeah, but it was just funny because we were like, I was like, "Beth, you're not supposed to tell them that we're dumb."
But I'm
and
always
she was
like,
"What?"
I don't know this information.
Google.
Please fill me in. Yeah. Okay. So so avoiding toxic relationships is something that you are going to say no to. So you sound very introspective already. I'm going to say that. Also, I will say mamas are used to being taken for granted, right? So for you to apologize to your mom, she probably. I mean, that's what we do. We just take from our mothers in many ways. At least my children.
Yeah. When Chris came, when he got out and he apologized to us, to me, man, that I know how that made me feel. So I could just imagine how it made my mom feel.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you wanted her to have that feel, right? Like, because it felt connect. I mean, even though it's a hard apology, I'm sure, like, sorry, I went to prison.
Right.
But at the same time, like, that feeling of connectedness from an apology, like a sincere, genuine apology, means so very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that I wrote in here too, is like, sometimes I feel like that if I'm with someone, like if I'm in a room with them and I'm talking to them, oh yeah, we're good, we're having a good conversation, oh, we're friendly. But then if I'm not in the room with you, you don't give me a second thought. Like, that's how I feel, like out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. So when, of course, I didn't get to see Chris for a long time. So for him to apologize because he was obviously he was thinking about me, that kind of made me feel, really good because I feel like that I don't get a second thought after we're not together. That makes
like
sense.
object permanence, but with
Yeah.
like family and friends.
Yeah. Like we have this group. Mike and I go to karaoke 3 times a week.
Ooh.
We
Where
love
do they karaoke here?
Oh, I will give you all the details. We love it. We go downtown to 3 Roads on Sundays. We go to All American All American Sports Grill, something. It's a new place.
I was like, I've never even heard
It's
of
where
that.
Crab du Jour used to be, Ruby Tuesdays used to be.
So near Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yep, on Tuesday nights. And the guy who runs that, Gary, I have adopted him as my granddaddy. Like I just love that man. I love him. And then Thursday nights we go to Lido's, eat before you go. Just saying. You can keep that in.
Good
You don't
to
have
know.
to take
Okay,
that
I
out.
won't. I won't.
All right, Lido's.
That
Listen
sounds
up. He
good.
will not be a sponsor of ours.
Y'all
No.
Your food is nasty.
Y'all
No,
are on notice.
it is not great. Mike and I will eat before we go on Thursday nights.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
so
All
do you have like
American,
a go-to song that you like rehearse and practice, or is it like a free for all?
So I have been doing karaoke for 20 years. I think I started when I was 20.
Okay, so you're actually just a really good singer who loves karaoke but won't sing like somewhere else professionally?
Depends on who you ask.
Okay.
Depends on the night.
I'm just curious
Depends on how much
because I feel
Fireball
like
is involved.
sometimes you don't give yourself enough credit. So I was just thinking like, is this...
Oh,
No.
that's
I mean,
amazing.
I used to do it with my grandmother, Nanny and I.
I cannot imagine my mother.
Oh, Nanny did not sing.
Okay.
No. She just went for the beauty parlor gossip.
Nice.
In this little place in Appomattox that we used to go to.
See, there aren't many places you can still go that are generational like that, multi-generational like that, where you would go with your grandmother. That's, yeah. I actually kind of.
I think I would take my Nanny to All American.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not Lido's because.
Not Lido's because she would want to eat.
You don't want Nanny to get poisoned.
We don't. No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's fine.
It's fine.
I guess.
We'll take your advice.
Yeah, I just eat before you go. It's not great. I mean, everything is like pre-frozen, and you just throw it in the air fryer and
like things I could do at home.
Yeah.
If you were something.
No, their wings are really good. So if you like hot wings, I mean, they're okay.
Sure.
But I would just eat.
Okay.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah.
Karaoke.
So we go karaoke
3
songs.
times a week.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is a commitment.
Yeah. Well, so I was going on Thursday nights with a theater group I'm in, and
you're so interesting.
I know, like.
I knew that was going to happen as soon as I said
that. You own a bakery, and then you do karaoke, and then the theater,
and then your day job. Like that's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So theater group, you went on Thursdays.
theater group went on Thursdays. Mike was like, "No, I'm not going. Karaoke wasn't his jam."
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the group was like, "Hey, we go to 3 Roads on Sundays." I'm like, "Ooh, Mike likes really good beer, so maybe I can get him to go for the beer."
Mm-hmm.
Well, he went, and he was like, "This is really fun." So then we started going on Thursdays and Sundays, and then we realized that, Gary started Tuesday nights over at All American a couple weeks ago. He goes, "Well, if we go on Tuesday nights, we're not going on Thursdays because that's just too much."
Draw the line at 3 nights.
We have not stopped the Thursday nights.
That is
so does he sing as well?
Yeah. He's
okay,
good,
so
too.
If we threw a funeral for Mike, you'd be like, things Sheena brought to my life. True love.
Karaoke.
Karaoke. Those are meaningful things.
Accurate.
I'm sure that's not the complete list.
No.
But holy moly. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Actually, I love that.
So not that.
So did you guys sing songs together?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, because I'm more country.
Okay, sure.
Just because
with the boots and the truck and the things. Yeah.
And he's more rock.
Okay.
And interesting thing about Mike is he was in a rock band in his 20s.
Aww.
So
he
was the lead singer.
Really?
So
yeah.
you're
he didn't want to
karaoke.
Why would he not want to karaoke?
I think it's because I made him go with me to the one in Appomattox, and then he was like, but it's different. Like
Right.
it's different, especially at we're not at Granny B's on Main Street in Appomattox
Right.
anymore. We're we're down here on 3 roads having good beer and
With
Right,
good
yeah.
people.
with good
and-
people.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool to see how he has embraced my theater group,
Mhm.
and now he's just part of the group too.
Yeah.
And
So
which theater group is it?
the Renaissance Theater.
Oh yeah, that's
Mhm.
wonderful.
That's
Yep.
amazing.
I was on stage for the first time last summer in 20 years. So that was
What-
fun.
What was the
that?
production?
Revenge of the Fairy Queen. So it was a unauthorized sequel to Midsummer Nights.
Oh, I was like
Yeah.
Spencer's the Fairy Queen?
Mm-mm.
Because that's a poem that hates Catholics.
No,
Says the English professor over in the corner. Like,
Which
what?
Fairy Queen are we talking
No,
about?
no, no.
Okay.
No, so that was a really cool show, and it was written by a guy out of Roanoke.
Okay.
And this was the first time that he's ever been able to travel to see one of his shows on stage, and he was there every night, and it was
Did
just
that make
really
you nervous
cool.
to have him there? Like,
The
is
first
this your
night,
vision?
it did,
Uh-huh.
and then I'm like, it's going to be different every show
Right,
because I'm
right.
going to forget lines. People are going to drop lines. Everything is going to be delivered differently
Yeah.
every single night.
Right.
So it's just going to be a different show
Mhm.
every night. Like if you came on the first night, you saw a different show than
Absolutely.
closing night.
Yep.
So
That's really cool.
Can't cross the same stream twice.
no.
That's what they say.
It's like a proverb. I know. I was just like, I got you.
And by they, I mean whoever originally said it, because I don't know or remember.
Like proverb.
And I'm not going to Google it, but you get,
Right.
it's the same thing. That's really
Mhm.
wonderful. Names. So is there anything that you kind of, it sounds like you're super introspective. We heard from someone, from a little birdie, that this was your year of yes.
Yes.
So I think that you're probably introspective, which makes you so fun to talk to. Is there anything that you came to in this process, or even that you brought to this process, that you are retrospectively being like, I should have taken better care of me, or I plan in the future to take better care of me? So there's a toxic relationship, surely.
Yeah.
Is an evidence of that.
Mhm.
Is there anything else that you feel like I'm going to do this different going forward?
I think what stood out to me most was the being intentional with my time.
Okay.
I think that is, every time I say it, I get cold chills
Mhm.
every single time. Just because, it can be with Mike, it could be with Dylan, it could be with my mom, Mike's parents, Claire. Anybody. Like, I want to be intentional with my time.
Right.
And so everyone knows how much they mean to me
Mhm.
when I'm not here anymore.
Right.
And that's that I
Yeah,
really that affected me the
Mhm.
most, I think.
Yeah.
So far.
Right. Well, that's great. It's going to be different for everyone, And
Yeah.
so I think that's really lovely. And that's
Mhm.
like you doing the reverse funeral, like
Yeah.
not needing to know what people necessarily think about you while you're here, but making sure they know
Yeah.
what you think
That
about
is
them.
that is like a reverse.
Yeah,
funeral.
like making sure that you don't leave anyone with any doubts,
Right.
or
Right.
wondering,
Well,
because-
so just I know you got to go, but
I know. I just texted
Okay.
her, said
Yeah.
I'll be on my way.
we'll
Okay.
walk over there.
So in 2017, my dad was working on a roof and he fell off and died instantly.
Oh my gosh.
He was able, I'll say instantly, he was able to call 911 and say, hey, I've been hurt. And by the time they got there, so here's the house he was on. 3 houses down, there was a paramedic. She got the call. She ran down. By the time she got there, he was not there. He was gone.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So that was June. Okay. And then that January 2017, Mike and I went through an adoption.
Mhm.
We got to meet the child, meet the baby, meet the birth parents, everything, and the adoption failed.
Oh.
Like,
And when did it fail?
while we were there, like we waited a week in Tennessee for her to make up her mind. And we were her very, very expensive backup plan, because in the state of Tennessee, if the baby is born with drugs in their system and you have drugs in your system and you don't have a plan for the baby, you get to go to jail.
Mhm.
So we were her backup plan.
Okay.
So we had that. And when I say that my family rallied behind us, man, did they ever. So we had that in January. Then my dad died like that in June of the same year. And then my grandmother, she was, Nanny was she was old. She had lived a very, very, very long life. But like your brother, I felt like that she was always going to be
Right.
here. Like,
Yep.
you know, she wasn't going anywhere,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And kind of she really hasn't, you know, with the whole sweet nannies and
Yep.
everything. Like she's still here. But I always feel like that when my dad died, Mike and I started living our life with no regrets.
Mm.
Like, if somebody called and they needed us, I don't care what I was doing, I was going to stop and go.
Mhm.
And that's how it's been since 2017. And, you know, my uncle just passed away in January, and he couldn't be left alone. My aunt had to work, and she works for a very, very cool principal. She works in the school system. And he was like, hey, as long as your job is done, you can come in and do it whenever you need to, whenever you have somebody to
great.
sit with him.
Mhm.
Well, one evening, and I was in the middle of baking. I had a big order to go out, right? And one evening she calls, and for her to ask me, like, that meant that she didn't have anybody else. And so she was like, hey, can you please come down and sit with Uncle C while I go work? And I'm like, sure. And I said, I've got some cookies in the oven. As soon as they come out, I'm on my way. And then, you know, Mike and I went down together. And that was the last time I got to hear my uncle talk. So it's like no regrets. Like
Right.
you know, you never know what I'm getting cold chills, but you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
And if we just live our life with no regrets, then you have nothing to feel bad for when somebody's
Right.
gone. So that's how I want to feel now. You know, I want to make sure that, I mean, statistically, my mom's going to go before me, right? Statistically. Right. And so I want to make sure I have no regrets at the end of the day.
Mhm.
None. And that's why I want to be intentional with my time.
Mhm.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful.
So,
Well, I've learned so much from you today.
oh,
I've learned that I'm really boring. Like one of the things I've learned a lot of beautiful, wonderful internal things, but I'm also like, what am I doing with my life?
Don't tell my theater group this, but just kidding. I don't have one. I don't do anything. Yeah, so you're so lovely.
Thank
It's
you.
always hard to stop the conversations.
Yeah.
And if Virginia didn't have something at 7, we would just keep you here forever.
That's
We would
okay.
monopolize your time, which you just said you weren't going to let people do.
But we're going to do it.
But I'm
we wanna do
intentional.
it. That's
Intentional.
right.
She
intentional.
No one ever really wants to intentionally spend time with us.
That's
What?
not true. But we'll talk more about it then when you come back for the funeral, and we actually will reflect on this conversation as well at the beginning to see if
It's very meta. You have to reflect on the reflecting
That's
before
right.
you do.
Yeah.
We got a lot of steps in this process, lady. All right.
I like it.
We couldn't just
I
go
like
and do a
rules.
podcast. We had to go and make it
We're like-
incredibly
We're like
complex.
teachers, like we have to make an
That's
assignment.
right.
do all the steps,
I'll tell
visit
Mike, I'm
them.
like, I'm going out for girls' night, so I'll be back when I'm back.
Thanks so much for joining us for Sheena's obituary episode. If you thought that was fun, just wait until we get to her funeral. Lots of family and friends who are just as fun and just as insightful as Sheena has been. So please join us for Sheena's upcoming funeral. See you then.